Today I'm going to be showing you the absolute best way to clean stalls, and I'm going to give you two examples. Both horses are a little bit wetter so that you'll get the full run through of how I clean those, and I'm going to be showing you one stall that I use shavings in and one stall that I use bedding pellets in, so you can see how I use both of them. There are a lot of things people don't know about bedding pellets, so make sure you watch if you use them because there might be something you don't know. Alright, so this stall is Scouts. It's going to be the first one we are cleaning. You can see all of this wet in the middle that I am pointing at. All of that needs to go. Anything that is damp or very obviously wet, I will scrape to the middle. I scrape all of the wet to the middle. You do not want to dig in a stall. Never just scoop under the wet spot and dig, because then you are going to create a problem in your stall. I see a lot of people do this, and if you want a nice level stall like you should, scrape, do not dig. So you can see I'm scraping all of the damp and wet shavings into the middle. I use shavings in this stall. Occasionally I will put some pellets under the shavings, but right now in this video it is all shavings. My favorite shavings are the fine shavings because they are very easy to sift. Okay, so now you can see that I have all of the wet shavings in the middle, a nice little pile. Now I begin to get that pile out. I do everything one at a time. So you saw I scraped everything to the middle. Now I'm going to take out everything that was scraped into that pile. You will have to keep kind of scraping because as you scoop it will spread out a little bit. And now we are going to start sifting what we can see on the top. So as you can see, I'm working on this back area. I guess it is his favorite spot. So I try to sift as much out as I can. That way I can save as much bedding as I can. I like to leave as much dry bedding in their stalls as possible. I did have to buy the normal shavings this time instead of fine because our store did not have the fine shavings. So if you do have larger shavings, this is going to force you to take more out because you can't sift as well. But I still try to sift as much as I can. Alright, now that I have this back corner about as good as I can get it, I begin to scrape the dry down from the walls. You do this to cover up all of that bedding you took out in the middle and to make sure the wet shavings do not sit up against the boards and rot them away. That is really important. I don't like to leave shavings pushed up against the wall for very long. I clean this stall every single day, and you can see just from less than 24 hours how much bedding he has rolled and pushed up to the side. So I get it all scraped down to cover all of that wet I took out. It's not gonna cover everything. I believe that if you take out several wheelbarrows, you need to add that much bedding back in to keep it nice and level and soft. So here I am scraping away for a while. So once I work all the way around the stall and get all of that dry bedding down, I will start sifting through what was hidden up under these shavings. back to sifting we go. As you can see, he had a lot of stuff hidden under those shavings. He rolls a lot and lays down a lot, so he ends up covering up a lot. So I go through the whole stall sifting to make sure I get every last piece. In the back right corner, you will see I did leave the shavings pushed up against the wall. That is because there is a tiny gap between his stall and Chester's. This is because Scout will very graciously share his hay with Chester, but if you've been watching me, you know that Chester is very allergic to hay, so we have to try and prevent him from getting it as much as we possibly can, and Scout did not help, so now I leave that bedding in between so that no hay smuggling can occur. Here's the stall all picked out, gorgeous, gorgeous, and I'm going to push this wheelbarrow out, and we are going to add some bedding. I am putting 1 bag of these big flake shavings in. Again, the finer better, but this is what we have. And I only took out that 1 wheelbarrow that you saw, so I am only putting 1 bag in. If I barely take out any, I will just use the bedding that was up against the wall, but since I did take out a full wheelbarrow, I decided to add another bag in. I like my stalls to be soft without having too much bedding. Also, I hate these shavings. Look at that. Barely breaks apart, and now I have to work for literally forever to break this giant brick just so I can spread it around the stall, but you know, it's worth it because I like them to have these soft, comfy stalls in my perfect world, my dream board, if you will. I would have my own barn that has mats perfectly fit in the stalls, but with these dirt stalls, I like to keep them bedded up because the bottom can get pretty hard if you do not add an adequate amount of bedding, and we're done with this stall. Yay, gorge, look at how great it looks. Next, we will be cleaning Zorro's stall. Alright, so here is the overview of Zorro's stall. You can see this giant wet spot here, and then everything in the back, and it looks like he just peed for me. So that was very thoughtful of him. In this stall, I use only pellets. You will see shavings in here right now because I threw a bag in just to make it a lot softer for him. So just like we did in the last stall, I start by scraping everything damp and wet into the middle. I don't want to leave anything wet in the stall because you don't want their feet to get thrush. No fungus for me, okay? We gotta get all the wet out. Now that I have this cute little pile, we are going to take it all out. Again, I only scrape, I do not dig. You can see how it is level under the pile because I am not digging down. When you scrape, you're going to make a nice level surface for you to put bedding back over, but if you dig, your horse is going to have a hole in their stall and nobody wants that. So this is how you can avoid doing that. See how even though I'm taking all this out, it's still perfectly level? Perfect. Love to see it. Here is what it looks like with all the wet bedding out. Now it is time to begin scraping down the dry bedding. Here I am scraping just a little bit more of what looks wet to me. I again want to make sure I get all of the wet out. So here looked a little wet to me, so I'm again scraping it into a nice cute little pile and getting it all out. Alright, you know the drill. It is time to start sifting. I start by sifting everything I can see on the top before I scrape down, just to make it a little easier. If it's all right there, I don't know why I would just spread it all around the stall without just getting it out first. And I'm scraping down all of the dry bedding now. He covers most of his poop, so I do have to go searching more than I have to for Scout. Now I have all the dry bedding I'm going to cover the previous wet spot with, so I am sifting out everywhere now. Again, trying to save as much dry bedding as I possibly can. Even though Zoro likes to cover most of it up, he also kind of has a spot like Scout. I think most horses do, so his spot is in this back right corner. So I really have to work back here and sift and figure out what I can keep and what I just have to take out. That is up to you. I try to take out any dark bedding, or if I can't sift it, then I just take out a whole scoop. My favorite game is trying to see how high I can stack this tiny little wheelbarrow, and somehow I keep getting it higher and higher. here it is, all nice and sifted with all the wet out. This is what it's looking like before I add bedding, and I'm going to be using pelletized bedding in here, so let's go get it. What most people don't know about pelletized bedding is you have to get it wet, you have to moisten it or soak it to make it expand before you put your horse back in your stall. Not a lot of people I know do this, and it literally says to do it on the bag if you want to argue with me, but it makes it nice and fluffy. So I'm going to take these scissors and cut a nice X shape in the top of the bag. You can also use a knife, obviously. Here's a closer look. Boom, line this way, and then boom, align the other way. And now you have this nice X shape that gives you access to pretty much the whole bag without spilling it out. Now you're going to take your water hose and start soaking the bedding. I begin by just spraying down kind of the top of the bedding, and then I will push the water hose in to make sure I get the corners. I don't put a ton of water in here, just enough to make it expand, and I do this in both the bags. Once that is done, I leave it on its own to begin expanding. I leave it for probably about 10-15 minutes. Sometimes I can get away with less time, but I prefer to have all of the water absorbed before I dump the bag out. This makes the bedding so much softer on your horse's feet, and it absorbs so much better, so you are saving money if you do this, because you do not have to take as many pellets out, because it will sift so much better and absorb so much better. And if you have mats in your stall, you have to soak your bedding or you and your horse will be roller skating, and nobody wants that. And it's just so much better for your horse to have the bedding soaked. And with that, Zorro's stall is done. Look at how nice it looks. It looks so much better, so much drier, and so much cleaner. Look, he loves it. Here's Scout enjoying his hay bag in his fresh and clean stall. And just like that, both stalls are clean and level. So let's review. Don't dig, scrape. If you use pellets, soak them. If you use shavings, just spread them. Make sure you add as much bedding back in as you take out so your horse does not end up with a hard stall. Those are my top tips and points. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you saw my post, you know that I did have y'all vote on the cleaning stalls or me playing my clarinet for the horses video, but I hurt my back really bad. I really can't even do anything. It hurts to put pants on, so I haven't been riding or doing anything, and this video was filmed before I hurt my back, so this one is coming out first, but hopefully I can get the clarinet one out to you very soon when I can ride and go to the barn again. It's been kind of rough, but if you follow my TikTok, you've seen that I have made like 2,000 TikToks because I have nothing else to do, but it's been super fun. Okay, bye!